Hey YouTube, it's Hannah Loba. If you want more MotoAmerica content, check out the new and vastly improved MotoAmerica Live Plus app. It's the only place you can catch all the race action in one place all season long. Click the link in the description below.
Not the typical starting grid you see, but Matthew Skoltz was able to put it on pole, Mesa and Corey Alexander.
Yeah, and you'll see what we're talking about in a minute. P.J. Jacobsen, Yakov, and Max Girardo are going to be outside row 2. Then we have Ty Scott and Nassani. Great qualifying from Riston Grigg. Max Van there, who had 2 top 10s at Coda Grigg. Row 4, Jake Lewis and Enriquez. Another good spot for him. Great to see Joe Lamondre Jr. here. Torrin Collins and Teague Hobbs, they're going to be on row 5 with Silva, LaRoche, and Blake Davis, 18th.
Whoa. Coming
from row number 6. And how about Dave Anthony coming from row 7 with Kevin Horney and Dylan Singh, Schultes, Silva, and Aiden Sneed. Then we have Monk, Omen, and Gus Rodeo.
Here we go, 19 lap schedule for Supersport Race 1. When these lights are off, we're rolling. Long red light, but nobody jumped from the front row. So a good launch from the 23, Alexander. So here comes Corey. Matthew Skoltz did not get a good launch. He's going to funnel in at about 4th place from pole position as they funnel into a new, slightly revised turn number 1. The inside of the track open a little bit more, and it's going to be Corey Alexander, the number 23, who's going to lead us for the first couple of corners. And Corey on that Rahal Ducati moto with roller die and forming. Quite a machine to see if you're live in person. Look at the bodywork on that thing. Awesome.
Yeah, Corey's got a lot of laps around this place also as Mesa gets a little bit loose going through that fast right-hand kink there. So for Matthew, he did exactly what he needed to do, Greg. He got through that turn 1 nice and unscathed, nice and clean. For the 11, what he wants to do is keep his head down, look forward ahead of him, and just pull away from everybody else. As we know, the lead that he has is pretty big over the guy just in front of him right now. Even if PJ gets to the front ahead of Mesa and Corey Alexander, Matthew is in a great spot. As you can see, that front quartet starting to pull away. It's really good, too, to see Stefano Mesa right there at the front of the field. He had a great qualifying this morning. I know they've been working hard on that bike all year long. And this is a place where I feel like we've seen Stefano go really well before. But looks like the 23 of Corey Alexander is going to lead them through here on the first lap. Yeah, you can see right now track temperature 100 degrees, 79 degrees outside. It's actually really perfect weather for these guys as Mesa is going to run wide. He's going to open up the door for PJ and Matthew. So Mesa's going to slot himself back there into 4th spot. The reason Greg brings that up, 26.7 from a standing start, Greg, as well. But you can see the gap that the 2 Rahal Ducatis have pulled out over the rest of the field. It is now up to almost 3 seconds back to Matthew Skoltz. And these guys are going to continue to put the hammer down. I think watching pit boards and things like that are going to be really interesting. Hannah.
So 15.5 laps to go in Supersport Race number 1. And the battle out front between Rahal Ducati teammates. One of them is Rahal Ducati with roller die and forming, the other one with Expel, and it looks like P.J. Jacobsen on the front straightaway coming out of the draft. The much taller and broader shoulders of Corey Alexander creates a big hole in the atmosphere, and P.J. Jacobsen able to, on equal equipment, draft and pass and take over the lead. Here racing for years with a couple of national championships to their credit, and giving Jake Lewis an opportunity this season on Supersport on the GSXR 750. And he goes right around. What a way to use the draft and pass for the 6'4" Jake Lewis.
In front of him, Matthew Skoltz also, he was over a second. Actually, he was over a second, 1.2 seconds quicker than Ty Scott, and a full second quicker than Matthew.
So now the question is for Matthew Skoltz, you can't be satisfied with 4th, because if Ty Scott is able to get around Matthew Skoltz, who's obviously picked up the pace, and Blake Davis does as well, he could find himself in 5th and not wrap up this championship today with P.J. Jacobsen now 0.4 of a second out in front of Corey Alexander. So Blake Davis able to go by to 1:23.655, his fastest personal time of the race after setting Sector 3 and Sector 4 outright fastest sector times of the race. Blake Davis on the number 22. That motorcycle, a Yamaha R6 N2 Racing bobblehead moto, is on the charge, and it's Yamaha versus Yamaha, and Davis slots himself into 3rd position.
Greg, he's got enough pace right now where he's already gone fastest first split of the race right this second. He had the fastest 3rd and 4th splits of the race that last time by. As you look at the 2 leaders again, both on the Rahal bikes up front, PJ and Corey.
Oh no,
Somebody's
rider
gone
down.
Let's see who this is. That's going to be Jarrett Nassani. We're hearing it's Jarrett Nassani is down.
That's horrible. Out of 7th place. That was such a great ride for Jarrett Nassani. Teammates to Jake Lewis. on the Altus Motorsports GSX-R 750. So for Desaney, looks like he's going to be up and walking away, but his race is over. Here comes Blake Davis at 22 in 3rd place. And now it looks like Matthew Skoltz. Looked like for a moment that the Strack Racing Yamaha R6 was going to come under attack from that M4, the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki of Ty Scott, but he's able to hold him off.
Yep, he was able to hold him off there, but Ty Scott he's obviously trying very hard right now, as Matthew just ran his personal best lap of the race, 24.7. And you see here, Ty Scott, 24.5, 24.3 for Lamondre Jr. He does his personal best back there in 7th.
Well, Jason, as Greg was saying a little bit earlier, the team has done the math. They know exactly where the points lie. And Matthew said to me, we've done the math. Now it's just time to ride. He's not focused on his exact position on the track right now. He's just concerned about not getting past and making sure he can pass the rider in front of him.
7 laps to go in this race. 8 laps to go in this race.
Red flag.
And a red flag is out with a bike in the middle.
Right in the middle. That's the 12 of Enriquez, I believe. It does say 12, right? So yeah, it looks like the number 12 of Alexander Enriquez has fallen.
Wow, and out of 12th place as well. Yeah, as we can see on our timing and scoring. A bit of a look, Jay, to see what happened in this incident that caused a red flag.
Yeah, it looks like, oh yeah, he's probably lost the rear pretty big there. You can see the marks in the background. So probably got sent up over the top.
Restart, race 1, 5 laps to go. And away we go. Saw a little bit of movement. Not sure if anybody's going to get one, but Corey Alexander. No, it's got to be the 15 of PJ Jacobson who gets a good run. Corey Alexander leading on the 22. Is there enough room in turn 1? No, Blake Davis is going to get the position from Alexander. And it looks like Ty Scott has moved his way to 4th around Matthew Skoltz, who's in 5th spot.
So he's 0.3 quicker, and you can visibly see it. Now it's going to be a matter of him getting out of this last corner strong, which he has done. He is in the draft to PJ Jacobson, Greg. He's going to be able to do something with him by the time they get to turn 1.
Here comes the 22. N2 Racing bobblehead motor Yamaha R6 goes to the front. If you look at these points, as you look at the draft and pass move on the left part of your screen, live shots on the right part of your screen, the difference between 1st and 2nd is 5.
And his edge grip on the right side specifically is extremely fast. And if he pulls away that much on like the last lap, they're not going to be able to do anything with him as they come onto this front straightaway. You can see he's already got a little bit of a lead. Corey Alexander now looking up the inside of PJ, and he's going to take over 2nd.
At Austining, New York, on the Ray Hall Ducati Moto with roller die informing number 23, and of course PJ Jacobson, the number 15. Out of Westtown, New York, on the Ray Hall Ducati Moto with Expel. All local riders all saying this is their home track.
Yeah, Corey really straight lines it. You saw him go from that fast kink into that turn 5 area, Greg.
Final lap of this race. The question is Blake Davis going to be able to hold off the Ducatis? Is Corey Alexander going to settle for or sit in 2nd place and not let his teammate roll around him? There's so many questions to be answered.
If it happens, it's going to happen going into turn 5. So they're going to come all down through here on these bikes. This is going to be 3rd gear. They'll do a shift up to 4th. They'll come up over the top of this rise. Now Corey, from this right-hander into the next left, he straight lines it, Greg. So Blake's got to hold a real tight line. Yep, he did that too. Blake used the exit nicely there. A little further back. This looks like it's pretty well organized between those 3 also. All the fight, though, is at the front.
Yeah, and if it stays this way, even though PJ set the fastest lap of this race at a 23.5 last lap by, if it stays this way, the championship is going to go to Skoltz. Blake Davis doesn't care about that. All he cares about is getting his team a win. As we're on the final section of New Jersey Motorsports Park, and he goes a little wide, does the 22. The door opens up.
Historically, in championships here, Corey has been really good through that last fast right. As you get a look at Matthew Skoltz, Corey's been so good through this last right-hander in years past. He might be able to get a run on the 22. He's trying to set up for it.
Here we go. Onto the front straightaway they go. Corey Alexander in the tuck. As they come to the line, it's going to be Blake Davis, Corey Alexander, PJ Jacobson. 1, 2, 3. Matthew Skoltz is going to come home in 5th place, just behind Ty Scott. Jake Lewis in 6th. Joe Lamandri, Kayla Yakov. Max Van, Teague Hobbs, your top 10. And you're looking at your 2024 Supersport National Champion.
Yeah, these are the moments that you savor, and these are the moments that you dream about and you think about when you're training and you're making sacrifices to go racing. And as a kid, this is what you picture in your head when you play out those scenarios. And
your top 3, and then it's Ty Scott, Matthew Skoltz in 5th, Jake Lewis, Lamandri, Yakov Max Van, and Hobbs. Let's get right down to Hannah with our champions. With 1 to go tomorrow, it's all wrapped up by Matthew Skults. And you can see that it's 34, the difference between him and PJ, with Blake Davis in third.